G'day, welcome back to Project Brupeg, the story of a sunken fishing trawler converting into a global expedition and research boat. This episode, we get the vent pipe behind me sorted, we make a solid effort on our intake over here for the fuel tank, and lo and behold, next week you're going to see how we cut a hole in the boat. Who would have thought?
Here she comes like the rays of the sun, she shines.
I'm trying to bury the pipe within the insulation so that you don't see it on the inside of the cabin, but have it also behind the wall. So we'll have to do a bit of a schmooze on these bits of polystyrene. But I think the overall result will come out quite nice. Now, I need to weld this, so before I go all the way through, I'm going to go and get a grinder, clean up right around this edge here. That way I don't get so much crap on the inside of the boat. If I cut the hole and then grind, I'm going to get a lot of rubbish go straight into the boat. By doing it this way, I can keep it pretty clean. I now know that I'm not going to lose that hole, so it's it's not going to wander or do anything weird, so we're good to go. We'll get the grinder out, we'll clean that up. Clean. Right, let's go figure out where the hole is down the bottom and chop that. That's what we're looking at. So the pipe basically goes through exactly where we thought it would. So what I need to do now is measure how far out it is from the wall at the top, on both the left hand side and the forward side, and then mark that on the bottom so we get it nice and parallel to that bulkhead, and then we can just start hoeing into that bottom deck there, get it through, and we can start welding it. The hole saw's cutting at about 2mm gap on either side of the pipe, so I'm not going to bother tigging that, I'm going to MIG it, and then I might clean it up with a TIG afterwards just to be absolutely pedantic about it, make sure we've got no leaks, but I'm not confident to fill up a gap that big easily with my TIG, whereas I know I can just blast it out with the MIG. Right, now we got those holes in, the next part's very technical. We need to position the pipe at the right height. So I'll show you how we do that. Figure out where the hole is. Step one. Right, that's probably too low. Can come up 500 though. And then it's out of the tank at that point. So if I come up to 450, like about there, actually, let's stick it there and you won't see a weld. Honkily dory. So we need to put a few more handrails around the front end of the boat here. You can sort of see it's fairly open. But what the plan is, over top of these guys, I'm probably going to do some sort of stainless handrail here so that you can, you know, grab it as you're walking through. There'll be handrails up on the cabin top here as well. And then forward, you've got the anchor winch, complete with horrific oil leak. For those of you that don't know, we rebuilt this and it's a beautiful winch inside, but when we rebuilt it, we didn't know there was a hairline crack right at the very bottom of it, and filled it with oil and everything, and consequently most of it is now across the deck. So that's another job that we have to do. Jess wants to do it before launch. I'm happy to probably do it after launch, but I think I don't know, I reckon she's going to win this argument. Either way, what we need to do, pull the hydraulic motor off, strip this part of it down, and get the, I think it's a cast iron housing, so I think we're going to have to get it heated and brazed, V'd out, heated, brazed, etc. to fix the little leak. But we'll see how we go. Might even be that we could potentially even paint the inside of the tank, the bottom half of the tank, to seal any sort of leaks. Yeah, once it's all brazed up and everything like that. But I don't know, I'll let the engineers tell me what to do there. I don't really have any experience fixing cast iron cracks. I know it's fixable to an extent. I know it's always a bit sort of problematic. But yeah, it's a really good winch. I don't want to lose it just because of that one little crack. So we have to figure out a way of solving that problem. Right, that's pretty ugly. Right, so we got this basically welded in using MIG. Gave it the herbs using MIG actually, but I think we'll tidy it up with a bit of heebie-jeebies from the TIG. I got my first formal warning by the chief editor of Brupeg. I was grinding some stuff this morning and she said angrily, I can't use any of that footage, the critical moment, and I can't use it because you had the bloody camera right behind your ass. So there we have it. That'll do. That's welded in. So I don't think that's going to leak. I'm pretty confident of that. And it's certainly not coming out without a fight. So what I will do, that hatch used to hinge on this side and I'm going to swap it over and hinge it on the front so that it lifts up from the back. Easy enough to do. It's just a couple of these things here, cut them off, weld them on the front, and we're good to go. There's the same deal on the other side. There's a latch around the other side. It's like a 5-minute job to do all of that. So I'll swap that round. The hatch is perfectly square, so I don't have to modify any of that. Yeah, we'll get into the other side shortly. But next job on the list is replace that filler. For this group of 2-inch pipe here, that's going to form the basis for our filler. So it's exhaust pipe, so I think it's heavy wall exhaust pipe, which I think is 1.6mm wall thickness, or fuck knows, an imperial. That's going to be bent up slightly. We're going to try and do it ourselves. So the reason why I want to go down the road of bending it and fitting it to the shape of the hull, it's about safety. So getting the pipe all the way down to the bottom of the tank stops that friction and the potential for sparks that I talked about earlier. But also when you're sounding the tank, so when you're actually figuring out how much fuel you've got in the tank, you put basically a wooden or a plastic rod right down your filler pipe, and it touches the bottom of the tank, and you pull it back up and you can tell how much fuel you've got. Obviously you want to have that in the deepest part of the tank, so if you've got the filler only going, say, halfway down your tank, you're only really going to be able to tell how much fuel you've got on the top half, which is kind of useless. So by putting it where it is, where the original filler pipe is, we're able to get pretty much right down to the bottom of the tank. Not quite, but very, very close. There's probably 30-40 litres left in the tank that we can't measure. You're basically running on fumes at that time, so it doesn't really matter. What I need to do is get that pipe formed to the shape of the hull, and it follows all the way down, maybe about 2 inches off the side of the hull, right the way down to the bottom of the tank. I don't quite know how I'm going to do that. I was thinking I could heat it, but I don't think I'm going to get anywhere near enough bends. If I heat one side, I don't think I'm going to get anywhere near enough of a bend. So I'm probably going to have to make something to bend it. If it was solid bar, it's probably easier to bend it than if it's hollow bar in terms of like making tools. Hollow bar crushes inwards, solid bar obviously doesn't. You can just kind of be a bit more brutal. You normally need mandrels and that sort of thing. I don't know if I'm going to be successful without it, but we'll give it a shot. In an ideal world, I'd bend it with a mandrel. There'd be a lovely, beautiful bend every, I don't know, 18 inches, something like that, and we'd gently kink it down around the shape of the hull, etc. And there'd be very little deformation of the pipe. It would be quite true all the way through. However, this is a filler. It doesn't have to be absolutely perfect. So long as it's not obviously kinked and bent over and horrific, it'll work for what it needs to do. So I tried a little thing. I got a piece of pipe, slid it over top of the stainless that I need to bend, and jammed it in my workbench that weighs about 500 kgs, and just gave it a shot of seeing if I could actually bend it without kinking it. Turns out I can. So I took a piece of pipe like this and then bent it. Look at that, nice gentle curve. So it's not real horrific. Let me show you. I do have a couple of little dimples just where it bent there and there. Remember, this is not taking any weight. It's literally just a pipe to direct diesel down to the bottom of the tank. So that's not going to really impede anything, not enough to be an issue anyway. And I don't think there's going to be any structural issues with that, having a kink in it like that. Look, it's absolutely not perfect, but I can do it myself, and we can do it here and measure it to be exactly what we need on the boat. So that's what we're going to do. The way I did it, got a great big long piece of steel pipe, slid it over top of that stainless pipe, and then jammed it between the two legs on the bench here, and just hauled on it. That'll do. Marine rated didgeridoo.
The time has come. The time has come for funding. We have to face this. The stabilizers are almost finished. We're on the front cabin work, which is the last huge job for Brupeg. And then there's lots of little jobs. Stu's due up for 3 weeks in early January. We're just going to get so much work done. We're almost in the water. So we've got to do funding now to get this project on that level up and moving, literally. We had an offer from a sponsor, and it was something we really think would be beneficial to Brupeg. We took it to the Patreon round table to get their confirmation that they were happy with us to go ahead, and they were really supportive, and we all agreed that it had to be any sponsorships, deals, or anything that advertising or anything like that on Brupeg has to really stick with the Brupeg ethos. You know, it has to be something that's worthwhile, it has to be something that is practical, it has to be something that's ethical, you know, all of those things that are what Brupeg's about. And it has to actually advance the project. I'm not interested in anything that's just about money or greed or, you know, anyone's particular opinion. It's about the project working, and it's about the community. So I'm really happy to present, or Damien's going to present, our first sponsorship. It's very cool. He did a course on how to fly a drone and how to film with a drone. You know, we got a drone, you might remember, we bought it on eBay really cheap, but it's a very complex drone, and then Dame proceeded to crash it twice and fix it twice, so we know how to fix it quite well. But it's very complex to get up and moving and take good shots of. Once we've got that sort of fully mastered, it's going to be great, and it will be a hardy drone. It'll go places that most drones won't survive eventually. But what we did do is we found a really good deal. We were able to pay off a little drone. It's just a tiny little thing, and it's something we can just throw in the air and just film. And we need that for the launch, and we need it for the up and coming work that we're going to be doing, all the videography we're going to be doing. So Dame did this course, and they sponsored us to do it. So enjoy, have a look. Dame loved it, and I'm going to be doing some photography courses. I really want to, there's a course on how to take really good shots with your iPhone and videos with your iPhone, because that's what I always have on me around the boat. So I'm looking forward to it, and enjoy.
So this morning I'm walking across the road from the boat. There's a big open paddock. We got a new drone. I got to figure out how to drive this thing. Thankfully, I don't have to try and guess. If you like us and you want to learn some new skills, we recently signed up with this episode's sponsor, Skillshare. On Skillshare there's heaps of online courses that do just that, and in your own time. I found a course that was taught by Wild Rabbit Productions, an introduction to aerial videography. The course was detailed and to the point, and these guys are professional cinematographers, so the quality of their coaching on this course was just top notch. It's one of hundreds of courses that these guys have. So if you want to keep learning, fend off boredom, focus on a new skill, or join a creative community online, it's worth checking them out. The first 1,000 people to use the link in the description below will get a free trial of Skillshare Premium membership, and after that it's only around $10 a month. One of the things I like about this course was you submit a 30-second show reel of your work that the tutors can see. Enough talk, let's do some flying. That worked out pretty well. That drone was super easy to fly. So the last drone that we had was a 4K Phantom Pro, and that's pretty cool. Like, there's a lot of stuff you can do on that camera, but a lot of it is way more advanced than what we ever use, and consequently it kind of just makes it harder to use the drone. That little bag, that's everything needed to fly. That's controller, drone, 3 batteries, all the cables. It's pretty awesome. It's a neat little kit. This morning's job in the front of the boat, we need to get back into that cabin, and we're going to start chopping into pipes. So Trev's here for the day, which is pretty cool, because we'll get a bucket load done with his help. So show you what we're working on first thing. This is our filler pipe in this room here. So that's a piece of 1.5" mild steel heavy wall pipe that's basically rusted out on the inside, so we've got to cut it out. So today's job this morning is to get in there and start chopping that up. We're also going to start removing the old breather pipe, because as you saw, we've replaced that on the left hand side there. You can see the stainless pipe, replacing that mild steel one in the corner. So a bit of cutting for the morning. You want a hammer as well? Right, so I'm going to start climbing up the front and cutting into this from the deck. Trev is inside on fire watch. We've got a water squirtery gadget just in case. It'll only be sparks and stuff, so it's not going to be massive amounts of stuff, but we still want to have someone down there just in case because we're cutting onto the inside of the boat. Right, we're ready to go. Let's get into it. You want to have a go at that side? So Trev's saying that basically most of it's cut except for a little bit around the back. We can't belt it out, so he's got the plasma in there. We're just going to nip those last little bits. We should be able to get rid of that. We'll make up a patch and we'll just weld in a new piece of steel into the deck and we'll just basically seal that off. We'll do exactly the same on the top of the tank. So once we've got all of this pipe work out, cut around the tank and just get rid of that pipe as well from the tank side. We're going to then repeat everything behind me on that filler neck down there. The old way that they made it was a bit of a botch up. The new way we're going to make it is hopefully going to be a lot better. Single piece of pipe, whereas they had multiple pipes all joined together.
Of course, that came out just when the camera went off.
I want to capture all those big old manky welds. I'll probably cut that out as a circle later on, but for now let's just get the pipe out. Probably even reuse this filler on maybe even Trev's tank. Don't know. So here we go. Definitely won't go to waste. All right, you ready? Hold up. Oh, you got it? Lovely. Look at that, we made a hole. Right, now we got these out, I want to tidy them up. I'm going to put a circle in rather than just the whatever shape that I cut. This means that, again, everything's uniform on the boat. 5-inch diameter, 2.5 inch radius everywhere we go, or a 5-inch diameter circle. You bastard! Bloody squirting me with his manual fire hose. We're about to cut the circle front and back for these two pipes within the cabin, and Trev's down here on fire watch. So he's in the cofferdam basically making sure nothing inside the tank catches fire while we're doing this. Right, hole's cut. Realised that I had the camera off the whole time, but bloody happens. How many times a day do we do that? Dozens.
It's only when I'm starring did you turn the camera off.
That's true, that's true. It's a new feature that GoPros come with. These are cut, and yeah, we'll get into these pipes now. Right, with the holes cut, it's time to go and join some pipes together and see if we can stick them down there, make sure it's all going to work. Right. We need to cut an angle into some of this pipe so we can make the little weird angle that we have to do for the deck. So to do that, we are slightly modifying our drop saw. Yeah, I reckon it's within tacking distance anyway.
The guys are bending the pipe that's going to fit on the inside cabin wall. It's got to fit nice and snug against that side.
That's going to be bloody perfect. Ugly, the other side's lovely. Looks lovely. Turn it over. Yeah. That'll work. It will. Look at that. Isn't that just magical? I'm not showing you the other side though.
It's just me following the line that the stars have drawn. That's why I'm in the wind. That's where you'll find me.
Round and round. Round and round.
Hey darling.
Hello?
Yeah, let's go around a bit more.
He would have had it finished, but I've been helping him.
That was quite long, isn't it? Is that going to be cut back? Or is that the actual length?
That's the actual one.
Far out.
It's far out.
3.5 meters or something, was it?
Wow, it looks beautiful.
You can put a reasonable bend in it pretty easy. Just over the knee.
Really? Just the one knee?
Over your knee. No other mortal
Who
can.
needs to keep their knees in good condition?
Yeah, no other mortal can do that.
I just wanted to remind you, you're thinking of stopping around midday. It's midday. You might check your okay and
So
where
is
you're at.
it midday Saturday or Sunday?
Yeah. Where are our gloves? Still there. New exhaust pipe. Nearly there.
Something that rang true to me, that life puts all the best things
Alright, let's go have a coffee and then we'll bend it. Nah, we'll do it on the bench.
Work.
Did you see the stand? We looked at the stand, didn't we? Yeah. Both are heavy now.
Just come and stand on this side.
We didn't even touch it. Yep. That made a difference. So with the bends done, we can now fit the pipe into the area that we want. So we'll go and make a cardboard template. So we're going to cut a piece of cardboard that slides over top of that 2-inch stainless pipe, and then we'll draw the circle that we cut out of the deck onto the bottom of that card, and that's going to be our template for the new steel. Right, so a bit of cardboard with a 2-inch hole. Put that over the pipe. Okay, you're in the right spot. No. Rejig it till you're happy. What's going on with the bottom one? What are you thinking?
Is it too close to the deck here?
No, the further out that way it is, the easier to weld. So because this pipe goes through the cabin floor at an angle, we need to cut an oval. We have to make it 59 millimeters in that direction there, that dimension. So we're going to cut it out. We'll also trim, so rather than leave it just with a hole, we'll cut a slot at the back, and that means we can hook it around the pipe, put it on without having to take the pipe in and out. We can slide it down there and then get it as close as we can to the deck. One of the things I'm really chuffed about is over the back, they clearly had a leak at some point, and they did the traditional thing of putting 5 canisters of Sika in there to deal with it, and then putting structural paint over top. So as a result of this, we don't have to rely on that. We can actually rely on metal physics and welding.
Do you want it?
Yeah, that'll do. We can, I'll climb down in the tank and mark it out. Hopefully we've got enough. Was there much dross? Oh, it's pretty good, isn't it? It's quite a clean cut. Alright, let's climb down there in the hole. This tiny little area is our cofferdam entrance to our forward fuel tanks. We've got a manhole basically in each tank. And then on the other side here, you got the same thing but for the water tanks. And this space is actually a survey requirement to have a gap, a physical gap between water on this side and fuel on this side. You can't have them side by side or have a single bulkhead between them. I've been in this tank for about 12 months. God, it seems like it was a bit longer than that, but it wasn't. Right, let's climb inside. So this is one of the fuel tanks in Brupeg. So you see above me there's, I don't know, 3/4 of a metre. And I'm not quite on the ground. You see don't know if you can see my feet, but basically wedged into the boat. But this is one of the storage fuel tanks on the boat. The stainless pipe that we've been working on. This guy here. So it goes from the cabin floor, or the top of the fuel tank, the deck head of the fuel tank. There we go. And it travels right the way down to the very bottom. Interestingly, that piece of pipe you can see there, that thing there is a safety feature so that we know if we've ruptured the hull from inside the cofferdam, which is back there. We can tell if we've ruptured the front of the hull by opening up that pipe. There's a little fitting inside the cofferdam. Alright, lovely, here we go. Yep.
You okay?
Yeah.
How's your arm feeling?
Yeah, I'm good. There's times in every man's life where he said to his wife, "Nah, I don't want to throw that out. It might come in useful one day." Today is one of those days. 6 years ago, count them, 6 years ago, I cut this piece of steel off the back of the wheelhouse, knowing that I'm not throwing that out because one day that'll come in handy. Well, today is the day of reckoning. So we'll get into those pipes, get those stainless pieces welded in, make those pipes permanent into the boat. We'll also get the fittings needed for the hatch built, and we'll get that welded in. But while Trev's got his fuel tank out, we're going to do a bit of work on it to make it a bit of a serviceable tank. He had some diesel bug go through it, and the plan is to build something that he doesn't have to deal with again. One thing that does need to happen is we need to do some race modifications to Trev's tank. He came back from a week of relaxation in a lovely place where he was getting wind against tide for every couple of days, right at the high tide mark and mid tide mark both ways. He was getting slaughtered, and it stirred up a whole bunch of diesel bug. Random shit in there. A pipe or something.
A what?
I think there's a pipe or something that goes across there.
A discharge.
Someone dropped it and obviously just gave up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty gross in there.